House Republicans are proposing massive cuts to Medicaid to help pay for trillions in tax cuts. The president's bill is proposing cuts by $880 billion over 10 years. Now, to help do this, the proposal calls for stricter Medicaid eligibility verification, citizenship checks, and tougher screenings on providers who get reimbursements. Republicans say, look, this is about rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. Democrats warn millions of Americans will lose coverage.
So to give us some insight into the impact, we asked IU economics professor Kyle Anderson to join us here in studio. Thank you for being here. This bill essentially would put less money towards Medicaid and put restrictions in place for people who seek its health care benefits. So can we just give a brief overview of how Medicaid works, and then could these cuts actually help?
Probably not. So Medicaid works. The federal government funds the majority of Medicaid, but it then gives that money to the states and the states administer it. So with large budget cuts like this, we're probably going to have trouble in Indiana covering all the people that we currently cover on Medicaid.
What would be the impact on Hoosiers if
Yes.
this were to happen?
So in Indiana, we have about 1.8 million people on Medicaid, get their insurance through that. And there's various different plans. But I think about 800,000 people would be at risk of that. And a lot of that was that Medicaid expansion that happened with the Affordable Care Act would likely go away under these kinds of budget cuts.
So a lot of people here, okay, cuts to medical care. This is what Democrats are saying, cuts to Medicaid. Republicans, we want to give the other side, though, because Republicans in favor of this bill, Trump's bill, say that these cuts are going to tackle waste, fraud, and abuse. So what's your assessment of that? Could it be helpful in that sense?
I think it's kind of unlikely. There's nothing in here that explicitly addresses the scale of waste, fraud, and abuse. And to be honest, it's just not that great within the programs. I mean, it's a large program. There is some Medicaid fraud, and we'd love to get rid of that. But I don't think it's to the scale that these budget cuts are talking about.
This discussion, this debate is a massive one. The goal is to get this overall bill passed by Memorial Day. You think that might happen?
I think it's pretty unlikely. And this is part of the entire budget resolution. So it's not just a Medicaid bill. This is part of the entire U.S. federal budget. Congress is closely divided. So if the Republicans want to pass it on party lines, they're going to have to get every single vote in line. And I think that's unlikely, at least, to happen this quickly.
So if there is a way for President Trump for this bill to move forward, which they're trying to find ways to save money, I mean, what would you like to see, or what do you think could pose a better answer to what, I mean, they're saying fraud, abuse, waste, they're trying to save money.
Yeah, I think it's great to save money. And there are a lot of areas they've sort of committed not cut Social Security, not to cut Medicare. And if you're trying to cut money out of the federal budget, there just aren't that many places to do it. And so Medicaid is what they're going after. It's just the scale of those cuts is really large. You can't just sort of just be a little more efficient. It's going to take people off of the Medicaid system.
All right. Kyle Anderson, as always, thanks for being here, helping explain things.
All right.
Hope to
Thank
have you back soon.